you are gonna see some cool ass shit.
Yeah, you don't want two Flavor Flays.
Heart transplants, brain surgery. I've seen it all.
Dude, that's fucking dope.
Walk up and just get it, whatever it is.
Yeah, brother.
I'm trying not to laugh, bro, but Josh is fucking killing me.
Guess what Navy SEALs do, motherfucker? They communicate and they're on the same fucking page.
Whoa.
We're live.
Welcome,
Oh, shit.
everybody. It is the Happy Hoodlums podcast. It's your host, Kemper Woodruff. We also have the very powerful Zachary Sampson in the house and the stony baloney young boy of the century, Mr. Josh Taylor. I'm in here tonight with Baby T, dressed like fucking Bob Burnquist from Tony Hawk's Pro Skate. I don't know. I was just looking. I was like, "Damn, bro, it's like fucking Bob Burnquist in this bitch."
Hold up, are we all rocking the true classics?
Yup.
What are the true classics?
Oh, what?
He doesn't have true classic t-shirt on right now.
No, I shrunk this, bro. This is probably a Hanes.
Kemper's
fucking-
just sleeping on quality t-shirts. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say,
bro,
I don't know.
I always got t-shirts. Like, no matter what work that I worked at, I always received cool t-shirts. I don't know why. It was never
just
a
need to
like,
get-
signing perk.
You gotta get that
They never
true
advertised
classic.
it.
Soft, form-fitting.
Unpaid sponsor.
Yeah,
All
we're
you
not
gotta
paid by
do-
contract.
Put that bitch in the dryer on extra hot, and I guarantee you it's form fitting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like, is it as soft though? That's the question.
That's a trade off. That's a trade off. A lot of things
Yeah.
get less soft in the fucking dryer.
I
Then
don't
the
know.
That's the thing about true classic. They stay soft.
When someone makes a fleece that will truly stay like fleece, that's when I'll believe it. But it always like just gets all bound together. You're like, man, it's fucking kind of itchy compared to like at first it was like a luxury blanket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. These true classics, they be holding me, dude. They give me that like soft hug.
Maybe
All
we'll
right,
get
I'm
a-
done shouting out true classic, dude.
Yeah.
Unless I'm getting paid for this, I'm done.
True classic / happy hoodlums 15% off. Just
Yeah.
kidding.
I wish. Wait, can we get sued for that? Hold on.
I don't think so. Probably not.
Sure.
We're
Hope-
just boosting their fucking. We're just talking good
Yeah,
shit
buy
about
this
them.
shit. Apparently,
Yeah,
it's good.
yo, facts.
That's
I'm gonna
That's
go
all
buy
I
them.
wear pretty much.
I'm gonna fuck
Same.
around and find out eventually.
I'll end up buying them for
Oh,
you.
bro.
Buy them for everybody.
Dude, if we ever get a sponsor, it's True Classic. 100%.
That's the one I would cross my fingers for. I'd be like,
Me
"Let's go,
too.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be
dude.
looking-
Every time I leave the house, it's pretty much only a true classic shirt that I'm wearing.
Dude.
Okay, I mean, I get it. You guys got your jam. You know,
They're good. They're fucking good, bro.
I'm going
Yeah.
out to eat or something. You know what I'm wearing.
But for real, would
I've-
that really be the sponsorship that you
Yes.
like?
Yes.
I would love because they also have amazing underwear too.
Dude, I'll tell
Pretty
you
sure they
right
have
now,
socks too, man.
ultimate sponsor, Johnny Dang.
As a man that
Johnny
sleeps with
Dang,
socks.
Yeah,
bro.
Johnny Dang would be a pretty baller sponsor to have.
Are you kidding
gonna
me? If
lie.
I was sponsored by Johnny Dang, you know the kind of chains that we would be coming up with.
Josh, for you, Johnny Dang is like the master, like the guy you go to if you want a baller ass gold chain with diamonds. Like Floyd Mayweather just got $1 million chain off of him.
And
Is this the same person that like Nelk buys chains from?
I don't
Maybe
know.
I don't know,
Oh,
but
yeah.
this guy is like way fucking up there on the fucking
Or
totem
like,
pole of chain makers.
What's the
Bro.
bodybuilder's name? That owns Zoo Culture. What's his name?
I don't
Randy
know.
Martin, he probably doesn't buy a fucking chain from Johnny Dang.
No, you gotta be getting rapper money, son. You gotta be.
Yeah,
balling
you
the fuck
need
out.
baller money,
Bro.
dude.
And hold on. Before we go any further, you gotta shout out Paul Wall because Paul Wall and Johnny Dang are business partners, right? Paul
Are
Wall.
they?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Bro. Yeah, Johnny Dang is the man. He came to this country and worked his ass off. He was a Vietnamese dude, and I'm telling you, he just balled out of control. Well, now there's videos of him at like the Super Bowl. He's always doing the coolest shit. Always shit. And Paul Wall's usually right there with him. So, and he's just a music legend. So,
Fuck yeah. That's a
yeah,
good way to start. What's on your
yeah,
mind?
dude, you got a lot of momentum if you're fucking bringing up Johnny Dang. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a
Yeah,
question.
for real.
I got a
What
deep
up?
question. All right, y'all ready?
But what's the problem? Let's stop that. Go for it.
Do y'all sleep with socks on?
No.
No, I can't stand that.
I sleep shirtless, no socks, in just like shorts.
Bro, I'm liable to sleep butt ass naked.
I've tried it. I get too hot at night. I need a little bit of a buffer.
Typically I'm boxers, just boxers, but bro, some nights it's like I can't stand the way the boxers twist, bro. I'd rather sleep naked, bro. Call me old school, old fashioned.
No, I can respect
I'm
it.
too.
It's
Yo,
definitely comfortable, but I sweat too much to sleep completely nude.
Also, if you ever have to fight an intruder, you come out like
Dick
bro,
swinging.
especially well, I don't know
dude.
what time morning wood starts. You know what I mean? Hopefully I wasn't
Oh, dude.
have a
That-
nightmare and then wake up.
Be a
You know?
nunchuck ninja.
Dude.
Oh shit, one nightmare to another.
Dude, I'd be getting that morning wood at like 3 a.m., dog.
Is that when it starts?
That is when it starts,
It's
bro.
like percolating in your nuts. Like a little
Yo,
hot pop.
real talk though.
Yeah.
All right, are we really about to talk about this? What's happening?
I don't sleep without boxers on because I'm too scared that I'm gonna roll over and crush my nuts.
What the fuck? How are you gonna? Okay, hold on. We need to break this down because there's some layers to that. First of all, why do you think boxers is gonna change the fact if you crush your nuts or not?
No. Okay. Let
Because
me.
I've squished my
No,
shit in
no.
between my legs
No,
without
no.
boxers on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the common problem, but for them motherfuckers
Hold on,
to
hold on.
fall through
No,
and roll over on it. Gosh,
that's the clip. That's the clip. Nah, dude. Yo, no. Okay. Let me rephrase. Not like squish, but like get them like twisted wrong. I don't know, bro.
Well, doesn't that
So
kind of naturally
you're
happen?
yeah. I mean,
You know
so
what I
you're
mean? Like,
afraid of
if
getting
you
your
roll,
balls like tied up in your boxers.
you know, it can
No,
happen.
I'm
but-
worried, dude. Like, what if like no, I
Hold
don't
on,
know.
what happens when
We're
you
not
get
having this talk.
bodybuilder?
Man.
No. We are now.
This is
We
hard to
are now.
I never thought about the life of someone who's like an ultra extreme fucking bodybuilder where their legs are like this fucking big, dude. How do you fucking fit your shit in there?
Like, bro, what if
It
I
sits
like,
on the top where your legs touch.
dude?
My
like,
legs touch. I can't. I actually can't sit with my like. I have. That's why I'm so wide-legged because if it's not sitting right on top of my legs, it's sitting in between, and so I have to spread super far.
Fuck yeah, we're talking about dicks tonight. What
Like,
the fuck happened?
like
I
this is
didn't
how I
even
sit,
know.
bro.
This is
This
a
is how I
crazy
fucking
left
sit.
turn. We don't need to see the logistics, dog. Everybody's got a different situation going on. Like, bro, what the fuck? I got skinny thighs. My shit just fucking.
hold up. Okay, hold up.
I got a wide-legged, bro. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Bro, now
does
I'm
it touch
scared.
the water or does it touch the brim of the toilet?
That's gross.
First of
mine
all,
does-
if
mine-
it touches the water, you have a fucking hog on you.
Yeah.
I don't care who you
Okay.
are. If you're soft and it's touching the fucking water, number one, you're a shower. Number two, it's a fucking hog.
That's hilarious.
Well, personally, mine does neither. So, you guys.
All
That's hilarious.
right, confirm. Josh is a grower.
Well,
No.
hold on.
No.
Oh,
This conversation is outrageous. I'm just thinking about the fact that my dick and balls can one day have a perch. You know what I'm saying?
Wait.
That might be luxurious as fuck to have your nuts just resting on your thighs in that way. so I didn't really know about the options that life has for me in
Yeah, bro.
store.
That's why I do legs so often.
If you work hard, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Your life will pay off. Your nuts don't even have to work anymore. You don't have to
Nope.
fight gravity. Well,
They're
at least
just
not very well.
cradled right there,
Yeah,
bro. They're just cradled.
that's beautiful. See, dude, hard follow up. Ridiculous. Like, what do you follow that with, bro?
Oh fuck.
Outrage.
No.
That was a good one, Josh.
That was a good question, and I think we should really at some point dive really further into
Yo,
fear of losing your
dog,
nuts.
dude, I
But
was worried. I thought we had 7 viewers, bro, and I was like, damn, 7 people just heard that shit.
That's fucking
55 people are about to see that shit.
Hey, fuck it, bro. The more people that see this shit, the merrier. You know how many
Damn
lives
straight.
that fucking will resonate with? How many fucking laughs that'll fucking have?
No, you know how many people are gonna resonate with worrying about squishing their balls?
Let her go. Well, there may be a couple elephantitis having motherfuckers. You know, they got the big bag and
Elephantitis
it's just
having
outrageous, you know? What the fuck do you do with a speed bag in your pants all day? It's fucked up, you know? And so we pray for them, and that's no joke. Um, forgive me. So, yeah. How about that Super Bowl? Gosh damn it. There's no good transition.
Bro, you almost fucking killed me.
Yo,
It's a
so
good game.
yo,
Whenever
Rihanna's pregnant now.
Our
It's baby
sponsors
number
are
2.
fucked, guys.
Let's
We gotta
go,
make our own
let's go,
shit.
ASAP Rocky. That's my dog.
Fuck
dude-
yeah, dude. I
my
salute
dude's-
both of them, bro.
My dudes they're
Beautiful
creating
couple.
little soldiers, dude. They're gonna,
Ooh.
man, their kids are gonna have some
The
vocals.
Super Bowl was great though, actually. It was a really good game. I don't even follow football like that, and I was entertained by that game.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
a
it
great
was a good fucking game.
I'm
You know,
pissed.
and for there to be two brothers for the first time opposing each other and it to go like that
For
neck
real.
and neck, that was
That was cool.
really cool. You
I
know,
saw
like
it.
I have something to say about the Super Bowl. I felt that this year
Okay.
was the most that the Super Bowl has done for women, and it started before the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Probably realistically with Rihanna being chosen, you know, despite her pregnancy, right? And because it's a
Uh-huh.
different kind of female form than we're seeing, you know?
I was gonna say the Air Force, the women in the Air Force when
Yeah,
they did the flyover. That's what I was
yeah.
thinking of.
The
But
flyover. They had Kelsey's mom, you
yeah,
know,
I wish she
like
did the
mom.
coin toss, bro. That would
And
be
so
cool.
they had a ton of stuff that was really groundbreaking, actually. And I thought that was kind of like, that was really cool. And they had fucking Chris Stapleton sing the national anthem. So,
Oh, that was a W.
you know, for America, doing shitty and everything else, the Super Bowl, that was okay. The commercials, everyone's gonna complain like commercials
No,
could have
they
been
were
better.
good. Some were good this year, dude.
I
Yo,
don't
like
know.
I don't know if y'all know who Jack Harlow is. Did y'all see the commercial about the triangles?
Yeah, where he was playing triangles.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I thought
he's a
that was creative.
he's a rapper, but it was a Doritos commercial, and they just changed the idea to him like going from rap to playing the triangle. It's the most
Yeah.
random, but I thought that was the funniest commercial ever. That was my favorite. Did y'all
Okay.
have a favorite?
I didn't pay attention to the commercials because I was listening to the awesome conversations that were going on in Kemper's living room. They were one, I was high and fucking probably a little bit more than buzzed in after having a really strong alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, the chocolate martini. My mom got
Yeah,
him chocolate
that shit
martini.
was so good,
Yeah,
bro.
so that's her
But
favorite.
there were some amazing conversations going on between Kimber's mom and one of their like family friends. It was fucking amazing. So I was just listening to those two go at it, and I was like, "That's fucking awesome to have a friendship like they were having is far more like their conversations, they were shooting the shit like we're shooting the shit right now and just talking shit to each other. And it was so fluid, just going back and forth. It was so cool. And they were telling stories and shit just to listen to that. Like not just the experience, but also just like the elegance and the way that they told the stories was and they were fucking hilarious. Like your
Yeah.
mom and I forget
Conca.
the
So
Conca?
Conca is, yeah.
Conca.
So Alex Saline is numbers, he's older to me. And Conca was our next door neighbor. So her and my mom were pregnant at the same time with my older brother and Alex, right? And so going way, way back into like the 90s and shit, like late 80s, early 90s is when they became friends. And really just like my entire life, I grew up with Alex and Conca, and then Max being at the house, oftentimes eating, because like we were super poor, and Alex's dad left, and my dad and mom got a divorce, and then so we're in the same situation. Our moms are both struggling, and it was like, well, what do you have in your fridge? They'd be like, all right, I got broccoli, and the other one would be like, all right, we got pasta. Come over, we'll throw it all together. And they would drink wine and let us fucking run around and be crazy. And so most of the stories are about their wine tales while we were being crazy.
Yeah. But on top of that, dude, the fucking food that Reno whips up is fucking ridiculous. I could have eaten like a solid pound and a half of that fucking chicken. It
Yeah.
was absolutely ridiculous. And then the steak, even like cuz I got the steak when it was like a little cold
Hmm.
and it was still fucking amazing, bro. Like,
Yeah.
usually, like, you don't like cold steak half the time unless
Hmm.
it's cooked really fucking well, and this
Yeah.
shit was good as fuck.
How was it
Everything
cooked
else,
though?
phenomenal. What?
Like, well, how
It
was
was
it
like
cooked? Like
it was like
rare?
medium
Yeah,
rare.
yeah.
It was like
Medium
medium
rare.
rare. It was a perfect steak,
A little
bro.
more on the pink side. I like that. I like
Dude,
that. Okay.
I'm definitely food spoiled, but in terms
Yeah,
of like
jealous.
my favorite, I guess, Super Bowl memory, like in terms of commercials,
Mhm.
wasn't from this year, but I remember it super distinctly. It was Budweiser way back in the day. It was either Budweiser or Bud Light. They were having a commercial about people jumping out of an airplane, right? And so this instructor like is like, "You want to go out?" And the dude's like, "Fuck no!" at the door, and he's
Yeah.
for some Bud Light and throws it out the door. And then he's like, "No!" And the pilot just comes running through and dives out with no parachute after it. And the dude just looks at him and he looks at each other and it just cuts. And I was like, that is a fucking genius commercial.
Did y'all
Um,
see the beer commercial for Blue Moon? It started out, it was like, this is a
Oh,
Coors
yes.
Light ad. And then it's like,
Yeah.
no, this is a light ad. And then at the end it's like, no, this is a Blue Moon ad.
Yeah, that shit was fucking hilarious. They were fighting, it's just like,
Dude.
"Bitch."
I have a
Dude.
problem with how much we push alcohol as a country, though,
Same.
and put it in everybody's face when we know that we have so much mental health stuff that goes absolutely like unaddressed in this like bumper sticker mentality. And it's
Yep.
like we make it out almost to be like, yeah, don't do that. Those are just losers that fall into that shit. When it's pushed right on top of you, it's fucking everywhere. You know?
You know what's even worse than that?
Huh.
Um, I see on social media all the time, and even on YouTube, they've started to push ADHD medication advertisements
Hmm.
and
Mhm.
Adderall advertisements, and I'm like, why are we allowed to fucking like in other countries? They're not allowed to make advertisements for medications. You're not allowed to. It's not a thing in other countries.
Yeah.
But here we're allowing advertisements for medications, for alcohol, for like you don't ever see a dispensary advertisement even on local TV.
Well, because they're not allowed to in the same way.
Exactly.
You know,
But
like
that's the thing. But it's just like, why are we allowing these like really damaging substances to be like put on a pedestal, like you were saying, um, and basically furthering the problem that we already have, which is a substance abuse problem in America. And if that wasn't proof enough, not only do we need to stop doing that, but the problem with fentanyl, that is an obvious, like, when you have an opioid epidemic and a drug problem in a country, now fentanyl is instantly the biggest tool you could use to wipe out that fucking country.
Yeah, and
And it's like, what the fuck? We gotta pull that
that,
shit back. We gotta go hard on it. Stop it.
that that's crazy. I wasn't really thinking about the fentanyl thing in that regard, but I will say that like we need to start talking about the mentality, right? Because
Yeah.
these things aren't just going to go away.
No.
And so I think that's why I'm saying like the more that we can just really address it differently, you know? So it's not like a us and them, like there's not this weird stigma.
Mhm.
It's like, no, this is kind of a human thing. And like any of us can fall into this type of shit real fucking easy. And,
Yeah.
we've not only known this for a long ass time now, but especially since COVID, right?
Yeah.
COVID put that right in our faces. And um, the way that we broadcast news and stuff kind of plays into this narrative, and this
Mhm.
propaganda, just trying to keep your mind focused and funneled so we can make money for this entity that's just feeding you whatever you can trip out on, in a negative stimulus kind of way. Because they know it's either pleasure or pain,
Yep.
right? It's
Yo,
either pleasure or pain. And
That
so they just harp on both ends of that. And like us as human beings, we have to be accountable for our actions, We're consumers of all of this, at the end of the day. And so where you place your attention and your focus, you have to like really keep an eye on that and be very accountable because it's so easy to fall into these traps.
I agree. There's been a lot of studies about how your environment shapes your drug addiction potentials. And there's two examples that I'll talk about. Um One was a study that they did with rats, and they gave rats like the bare minimum necessities that they needed, but they didn't give them any activity to do, and overall their life kind of was shitty. But then they gave them drip feeders, one of water and food, and one with heroin in it.
Hmm.
And they would eventually, they would go to the heroin one every once in a while, they go to the water, get their food, and then eventually they got fucking bored, their environment was shit, and then they just started constantly going to the heroin one all the time, over and over and over and over. And then they did a second piece to that where they had multiple rats in the cage, they had all the stuff that they needed, a lot of food, a lot of water, they had activities to do, and only occasionally would they go to the heroin bottle. Um, and then the other example of this is a professor, actually. Um, I don't remember where he studies, and I forget his name. He's an American professor who recreationally does some pretty hard drugs.
Hmm.
Um, and he has talked a lot about how it's not the drugs that are the problem, it's the environment in which the people who are using them are living.
Hmm.
Um, and so, in a sense, that kind of ties into the mental health part, because if our environment sucks, our mind is gonna suck, and it's gonna get dragged down by the environment, and then we're gonna feel like the only way we can get pleasures through these really addictive things that also, in turn, are very damaging to our souls and our ability to get out of that environment.
Yeah.
yo, I,
Go on.
I'm not trying to be like a, oh, I'm going back to the us talking about the news. I'm not trying to be like, oh, fake news, But like at the same time, people should consider like if you're given something for free, do you assume that item has a lot of value? Like if you're
What
Well,
are
buying
like in
something,
like what are you talking about?
that
What's
depends
giving
on the
being given
person,
out for free?
but generally, most people do not treat
I'm just
something that is
saying what
given
would, yeah,
for free the same way as if they've invested in it in
yeah,
terms of respect, yeah,
yeah.
and
So,
reverence. Yeah.
so I mean, the news is, I mean, it's basically they do it for free. It's not like some subscription service you got to pay for. So, I mean, take it as you would take some free item, you know?
I think information in general should be taken with a
Hey,
grain
money
of
there's something
salt
to
until it's
free.
validated.
Like,
But in dude, to me, in my mind, like if someone right that I know gives me something for free, that's not like something that I value any less than what I paid when I if I were to pay for it, right?
mhm.
Um, I think information is different than things, right? So like even if
Yeah.
Kemper were to tell me something, I would take that with a grain of salt until it's validated by one or two more sources, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this has
And
happened many times.
this has happened many times where I listen to what Kemper says and I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And then I was
And
like, "No,
then
I'm right."
I wait, and then if it's validated, I'll say like, oh dude, yeah, someone fucking agree with you, or like, yeah, I actually agree with that now. Or something,
Yeah.
right? I
That's how
think
you should take the
information in
news. Yeah.
general, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. I think it should be taken with a grain of
Gotcha.
salt
Okay.
overall, because it's like, in essence, like the news is biased regardless of what people want to say, right? And
Yeah.
that's obvious based on the fact that different political parties watch different news stations, and it's known that that's happening, right?
Yeah.
And so each of these news stations are probably a little biased. I've seen far left news stations shit talk, and I've seen far right news stations shit talk. And I'm like, we don't need that. We don't need the shit talk about about the opposite political party. We don't need all of that. We need straight based, like the straight up facts pretty
Yeah.
much. And I think if you're not trying to find objective sources of news or information, then you're missing out on what's actually going on. Um, and if you're only listening to one group of people or one news station, you're definitely missing the entire picture, because the only way to really understand two sides of the fucking puzzle is to look at and listen to two sides of the fucking puzzle.
I don't know. If both are wrong, then you're just ingesting wrong shit, you know? We're realizing that we're being lied to,
Of
and
course.
sourcing out things is some things like n most people are just gonna be like, "Well, fuck it," and throw their hands up and be like, "I'll handle what pertains to me right now in this moment because
Yeah,
it's easier," you know what I mean? Other people go take initiative and wanna know about what else is happening within the world, and that's kinda a matter of preference and how your lifestyle is, you know, like
I
what kind
agree.
of life you want to lead. Um, you're probably not going to be a leader in any like large capacity, but in terms of your family, maybe that makes you more conducive to just being able to focus on your little unit, you know, and
Yeah,
there's other ways that you can insulate your life to prepare for things should things go awry. But um yeah, I forgot what I was going to say earlier. That experiment you were talking about, I believe, had cocaine in there as
was it
well
cocaine instead
with
of
the rat.
heroin?
No, I think it had both,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was called the Rat Park Experiment. I heard it on Joe Rogan, as you probably did as well.
Yeah,
And so, if people want to look into that, they can. But essentially, that's what I was going to say. The environment, right? Like we're not taught to respect the sacred nature of things in this country. And because of that mentality, the way that we go after these things that otherwise would be held in reverence, right? Like a delicacy of sorts, or even just in general, if you hold reverence in your life and a place for everything, you're probably not going to be someone who's out of balance. So you're probably going to be far less prone to addictive behavior because of this external source, because you have an internal source of happiness that you go to first, right? But if we're not taught to go there first, we're inevitably going to be looking at a myriad of things and options and trying to stack our lives up in a way that isn't dysfunctional, but inherently it will be. And that's why it's so important that we really work on ourselves, hold ourselves accountable, and question the way that we're fed modes of thinking, whether it be just from tradition of our family or tradition of our nation. Because the problem with that is over time, whether it's a nation or anything else, a news organization in particular, over time they can gradually change things. And it's like you almost fucking forget about that other stuff because it's just a
Yeah.
gradual change and they ease you into it. So you still seem everything's so normal. Everything's okay. It doesn't break that pattern for you, but your behaviors are fucking tanking. And the way that you think and feel about yourself is so much less empowered because you're not creating space. And in doing that, it takes energy. The more active you are, the more energy you're using to create room in your life for the expansion that you want.
Mhm.
And if you're not actively creating room, then you're going to be out of the frequency um, of what you want.
This is kind of like, on point with the way that, like, when you said things can be shifted over time, uh, there's actually a little bit of evidence that shows that, certain mental health disorders actually go through waves in time. Um, and the one of the examples of this is like split personality disorder or multiple personality disorder.
Hmm.
What you'll see is actually like when there's one, shortly after, a bunch more come out.
Hmm.
When they when as they Yeah, that's basically the pattern is once something starts happening, more start building on, and then it'll die down, and then something else will pop up, and it'll die down. That's the same thing. Um, and I actually heard that from Jordan Peterson, who's a really smart like psychologist of some kind. I
No,
don't know if he's a psychologist specifically, but
not now. They canceled him, bro.
they're
Wow.
trying to.
Yeah,
They're
they're trying
trying
to
to.
take his whole degree away,
His license,
whole license,
Wait,
his
bro.
what?
psychology license. Yeah, so Jordan Peterson in Canada,
Hmm.
you can actually get, if you get too many complaints about you, you can actually lose your license to
Hmm.
practice psychology. And the College of Psychology or the board or whatever they call it, in Canada, they received a bunch of complaints about Jordan Peterson from people who were not his clients.
Yeah.
And they were complaining about him because of the thing he says online because they disagree with him.
Hmm.
And now he is in jeopardy of losing his license because people who complained about him, who he was not working with actively, are trying to like get his life ruined on top of like a bunch of other things, which is pretty crazy in and of itself because he actually has a pretty wild story in another sense of like one of our topics we talked about earlier, or it's kind of pertaining to it, is drug addiction, and not necessarily drug addiction specifically because I don't know if he was addicted to anything, but he was in, I believe he was like depressed or some type of mental health crisis, right?
Hmm.
And his daughter talks about this on a podcast somewhere, and he was being prescribed all these medications by these doctors that he was taking, and he was in, I wouldn't say I don't know if it's a psychiatric ward or not, but he was in some type of mental health institution, getting help. And his daughter kept fighting these doctors about saying, "Hey, yo, he needs to be taken off these medications. It's not fucking helping him." And eventually, over time, when she was able to get him out of the hospital and get him off of the medications, he actually turned his life around. He actually started to get better. Um,
Mhm.
and that's where you see him now is like because he disappeared for a while, and then he came back, and now he's doing a lot of really cool things and trying to spark like a revolution in thinking. And he's actually building this. He speaks about this on Joe Rogan. It's like a convention of important people, important figures, political people, moderate thinkers, though, and
Mhm.
getting them together to try and figure out a way that they can start shaping and helping to shape the world a little bit differently,
Mhm.
so that they can start moving towards like a more of a mental revolution of a sense, like starting to get people to think a little bit better. And so that kinda, like, ties back into what you were saying about the slow shifts of things, and I think he's one of the people to look at if you're looking for someone to give you, like, new ideas and ways to think about life and be introspective and shit like that.
I
He's a fucking solid dude.
I think that that's like all those people coming together and having a really smart person that's vetted in a lot of what they're saying as being valid, even controversial. Like that's what you want because that means
Yeah,
you're talking about the stuff that is impactful, to
facts.
other people. And so I think that gatherings of that nature, you know, be it from people on that upper echelon level or even more at like a grassroots level, is the inevitable part of this revolution that you're talking about of consciousness, and thinkers expanding and wanting to reshape the future for better or whatever, give them a better foundation to start with.
Yeah,
The problem that I run into, and I have to point this out because I was thinking it myself. I was like, when you were talking about him losing his license, I was like, yeah, fuck it though. He's Jordan Peterson. He can go
yeah,
say whatever he wants. And I then had to like check myself and be like, no, this comes back to like respecting this man's journey,
really.
and his integrity of who he is and what he's worked for. So why let these fucks that are just offended? It's okay to be offended, but that's not like a fucking psychological disorder. And if so, he didn't fucking give it to you. You had some proclivity for it, or you were set up. Like you put
Mhm.
yourself at a point where your bandwidth was stretched like that. Um, and I think as a culture, we also have a problem navigating um, conflict, you know, because we're so sensitive that we attach people's behavior to that person indefinitely, like,
Yeah,
especially with social media now. So it's like, if you fuck up, like, you feel like everyone knows that's who you are. You're that person that does that thing, you
yeah.
know? And
It's
it makes it really hard to reverse and
yeah.
separate. This is a thing that you chose to do and you were in a bad state at that time and you were making bad decisions, but doesn't mean you're bad as like a as an entity.
I agree. This is kind of an extreme thought,
Hmm.
um, but it's a thought that I had a few years ago, when the cancel culture was at its peak, right? Everyone was getting canceled for tweets from 2015 and shit like that, or 2010 or 20 or 2000, right? Um, if you if you believe that cancel culture is the right thing, then you do not believe in prison reform. Like, do not believe in the fact that like people can get better at all. And so like if you believe that, then everybody who's ever gotten out of prison in your mind or in that logic shouldn't be out of prison. But in a sense, if you think that people can get better, and Kemper, you and I have met people who have gotten better after doing some pretty like crazy or bad shit, and they are have turned their lives around. But if we
Hmm.
held them to that same standard all the time, the way that cancel culture does to people retroactively, and like cancel culture, the worst part about it is that you're punishing people retroactively. You're punishing people for things they said 10 to 15 years ago, but then if like, but then you basically cancel culture in essence is saying that even if someone were to get better, it doesn't matter because that's who they are. And people would be that, and that's not true. Kemper and I have literally met people who were in gangs, turned themselves around, and now they're pastors at a church, and they're motivating and positive people in their community. And it's a powerful thing to see. And if you think that cancel culture is the way to move forward in life, you're wrong.
Well, well said, first of all. Guilt is not a new emotion, though,
No.
and it's a hell of a motivator, and when you start looking at these emotions that we have and really taking a step back and kind of observing not only what happened in black and white, where your heart was when you did this, where is it now, and kind of looking at it in a data perspective of like, well, this is what happened and this is how I feel about it. Oh shit, how do I want to change or do more of this?
Yeah.
And that's something that we aren't necessarily taught to do, although I believe it's emerging more as a skill,
Mhm.
because people have to navigate this. And I think that's kind of like how life naturally stays in balance, even though shit seems like chaos, it has to, because we have to have the ability to choose good decisions and bad decisions. And we're all here learning. And we're all different levels of intensity, and we've all prepped ourselves for different things to happen, right? That are just going to get more and more grand the more focused we are on them. And so until we understand our nature, bro, we're going to be kind of trapped in this fuckery. And it's weird because when you meet people that are real killers, like both people that did it for a good reason and a bad reason, right? Like especially when you've dealt and met people who are in the military that you like look up to, like these are men amongst men, women amongst women, like they're going through this act oftentimes of having to kill somebody, and it's a very different thing, although it's kind of got a similar commonality when you break that emotional thing down and how people have to unpack it. And I think what spawns out of that is either going to be radically good, radically bad. Sometimes it's both because you got to fucking figure it out. Like, that's why you hear so much about the alcoholism and addictions that a lot of veterans get into while trying to unpack this shit, because there's really nothing that matches this feeling of adrenaline and camaraderie. And because our society is not being taught to fight, we're not being taught to be more resilient in a natural way, right? There is something to physical resiliency. And if you create a nation of docile fucking people, you watch them get rolled the fuck over, you know?
Fact. Yeah.
And that's fucking evolution. And people, you can dumb shit down and try and put kitty gloves on everything, but life isn't bubble wrapped, bro. There's some barbed wire out there. And
Yeah,
like,
bro.
even just as a civilian, you can like, people are running into more and more crazy shit left and right, especially because people feel that they can conduct themselves however they want, without that repercussion. So you're just waiting for really good people to be put in really hard positions and then have to do some bad shit to somebody who wasn't necessarily, not all of them are bad people, you know. There are some bad people. There are some people that are just, they're not going to get
Their
it right.
brains are broken. Their
Yeah,
brains just
not
aren't
in this
right.
lifetime.
You know,
And they're learning that. And, you know, I think death is a part of evolution, and we really take that statement for granted. Like we overlook the gravity of it.
I
Like,
think death is part of the ultimate cycle of life. Because
Mhm.
even a star dies, yo. Like the things that we look up to in the sky at night, a lot of the a lot of them that we're seeing are probably fucking dead already because it
dude,
just took that long for the light to get to us.
dude,
And so, like, if something that big, that powerful also dies, it's something that we kind of just like it's an ultimate. It's us fulfilling the ultimate nature of life in
Mhm.
the universe. It's just live life and then death, life and then death. It's a beautiful cycle.
Yeah, and
dude.
all while you're living, you're birthing things too. You know,
Exactly. Ideas,
like
things.
like the fiction. I love the KRS-One explanation of it is in and
Whoa.
out. You know, and so when when you think about that, bro, yeah, you can think about fucking, bro. That's how it happens, right? It's a
Yeah.
physical version of what's happening, spiritually. And as you're thinking these things, right, they come from inside out,
Yeah.
into
There
in
you
the
go. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
but the
Ah,
thing about it is they're like attached to you.
Mhm.
There's things that are very specific, energetic, like you created that shit, and that's why they say like in the Bible that God created everything and it was done. So nothing new has been created. All that can be created exists as an option from this material framework that we live within, that our spirit controls using our consciousness to change our being into something that matches by emanating this frequency out and draws it in like a magnet, you know? And all we can do is either stifle that frequency and draw something that we don't, that's less than what we want, or we can draw what we want when we become a match to it, And so we look at things as if we can just get them just because they exist. But that's why you get something and you fucking lose it. If you're not worthy, if you're not the person that believes that knows that, like, no, I'm the guy that drives the Ferrari, you know?
Yeah.
That's why not everybody gets to fucking have the Ferrari. Not everybody can know that about themselves. They can, but they haven't figured it out yet.
dude. And back to Zach's point about like stars dying. How do y'all feel about the sun losing a chunk?
What?
Yeah, bro.
Fill me in.
Dude, yeah, a chunk of the sun. I gotta look it up, but a chunk of the sun, and this is the first time it's happened, so we have no clue if it's
What?
bad or what. But a chunk of the sun came off, and it's floating in orbit.
Our
And
orbit,
well, so you know how
orbit of the
um
sun.
everything, yeah, the orbit of the sun. You know how everything
Okay.
rotates around the sun.
It's gonna become a new planet. We're gonna have 9 planets again.
No, no, no. It can't be a planet. It's a part of the sun. So, but this is the
Every
first time
planet
it's
was an
happened.
asteroid at one point, I'm sure. Something smaller.
But this is the
Anyways,
first
sorry,
time
continue.
it's anything's come off of the sun. So it's like
That we
I have a
know.
lot of questions about this.
I don't know. I'm gonna
Look
hold
it
on.
up,
Let me
Josh.
Google
Get
it.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
information and then read us the article. And then Kemper, you ask
Chunk.
your question and we can kind of speculate on it.
Well, my question is, what if there's a new Earth taking place?
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, what if this is a new
Like
planet
a
that's
mirror
in
galaxy.
early. Oh, okay. You know what? I actually have a theory on that I heard. And I don't actually remember where I heard it. I don't
Ah,
remember where I hear a lot of things. But in the regard of you saying, and it might have been you actually, in the in the thing that you were talking about, how everything that is made already existed,
Hmm.
right? And so we have a finite order of these things. It was Neil deGrasse Tyson who said this. Actually, I remember. Um, we have a finite order of how all of these arrangements can be made. And so, what if that multiversal theory isn't a multiverse, but it's our universe, and it's just replicating the same process over and over. Because if all of those things can only be put into a certain amount of different configurations, eventually one's going to repeat. That's kind of my theory on that like multiversal thing that you were just talking about. Josh, you had a face slap moment. What was it?
Bro. So a chunk didn't fall off of the sun. It was false. Hold on. No. But this is cool because people did see it looked like something fell off of the sun.
Okay.
But it's actually called a polar vortex. And it's as material broke from a filament on the northern limb of the sun and lingered overhead for hours.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well-
Hashtag. Well, this goes back to our
Bro.
conversation about checking your sources. Just
Facts.
because you hear something, take it with a grain of salt and
Yeah.
figure it out later.
Well, and the sad part is my dad told me that, so I don't know if
Oh,
I trust
damn.
him now.
You know, man.
I will never listen to you again, Dad.
Vortexes are important because energy moves through spirals, right? Think about footballs, bullets, fists, whatever, energy moves, especially as you go up in levels. It's like the double helix of our DNA is kind of mimicked in just so many different ways. That's what I thought about in that. I forgot about the other half of what I was going to say. I got carried away and kind of thinking about how funny it is to check your sources, and you're like, oh, fuck, Pop.
Yeah. Hey,
Live.
you gotta learn somehow.
Facts. Again, like just look for the objective truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, guys,
Fuck.
I think that's been a good episode.
I think so, man.
Absolutely.
That's a good spot to wrap it.
Bunch
We've
of
covered a lot of
knowledge.
things.
We did, actually. It's gonna be a hard title to figure out. I'm gonna have a hard time figuring out this title.
No, it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be
Let's
epic.
hide the dicks. You know what I mean?
Let's hide the dicks.
That would make a fantastic title, but let's not put
Yeah.
that as.
No, I got it.
Well,
I-
let's hide the D and a bunch of different like symbols.
Let's just let people find out. And the funny thing is that we had some intellectual conversation on the other side of that. And I was
Yeah.
like,
No.
dude, now I have
I know
something
the
to look
title.
forward to.
I
I'm
know
never
this.
skipping leg day again. Maybe that's
Dude.
it. Never skip leg day.
Leg
And
day 2 times a
Hey.
week.
I have a
people find
title.
out.
I got a title.
Okay.
It's fire. Dicks, galaxies, and epidemics.
What? I don't.
It's a good one.
I think it's a little too on the nose, bro.
Why are you guys laughing at me, man?
Leading with dicks is a really strong proposition. You know?
Yeah, that's a really.
I don't
That's
know
re-
that people know where to categorize us. You know what I mean? Like we gotta.
you may as well say dicks, women during the Super Bowl, and the universe.
Dicks are just the Easter egg of this episode. You know,
Dicks.
like ball perches. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, ball perches.
I think I might call fucking Zack's thighs some ball perches from now on. Whenever he does leg day, I'll just ask him how his perches are doing, and I'll just call it
Doing
perch
great, bro.
short, so he'll know what I'm talking about. It'll be covert.
Yeah, covert, just perch.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, bro, how's the perch?
Those are the things that never get old.
Yeah, like insider, like code language shit.
Yeah,
Fucking awesome.
I'm working on my perch. Okay.
Like, bro, people don't know how to fucking respond when you say you call me a
Bro.
meat castle.
Yeah, I call Zack a meat castle in public, and people just look at me so fucking like, what the fuck? It's hilarious.
Like,
They're like,
okay.
what did you just call him? And sometimes, if I'm having a weird ass day, I'll wear my pineapple pants. So people look at me like I'm a fucking crazy guy. Anyways, they're like, "What is this kooky ass dude?"
Hold on, you guys,
talking about
you
meat
know,
castles.
you guys know we're live still, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
We haven't said goodbye yet.
I'm not hiding this shit, bro.
Me
Right?
neither. What the fuck?
Bro, that's fucking hilarious. I own it, dude. Because
I want some pineapple pants.
dude, get yourself some kooky shit, like the craziest shit you can
Dude.
find,
I'm gonna, bro.
and they're
I'm
junk.
Yo,
So they try to pass off as like normal shit that you can wear, but you can't. They're like they might as well be pajamas, you know?
Bet.
hey, I'm
Weird
gonna let
joggers.
my inner girl out. All right, my feminine side.
Okay.
One time, I bought a pair of boxers, and they were pink and from American Eagle,
What does that
and
matter?
I loved them.
Dude, pink shit is swaggy. So fuck
That
it.
ass, bro.
All right.
Yeah, if you wanted to be a little Pepto Bismol, you know, do that shit, rock it, and that's what we do.
Fuck
All
yeah,
right.
bro.
That's how we do.
Hell yeah. That was a
Well,
great
I
podcast, boys.
might wear some little Batmans from time to time, and they're not even gonna be
Hell yeah.
boxers.
Fuck it, bro.
Righty.
All right.
Oh shit.
Fuck, bro. Give me
Some
thought.
old school superhero tights type shit.
Dude.
That's funny, bro. That's great.
Valentine's Day is come and gone. Maybe next year Batman will show up on time. Fuck. Until then, you guys have an